Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. I'm Mr. Sepulveda, and in this episode, we're going to be taking a look at what I believe are my top 23 art pieces of 2023. There are a few spoilers in here, so venture at your own risk. So without further ado, let's take a look at my top 23. All right, sitting at number 23 is one of my favorites. It's Lady Cardiac, and if you guys have been following my S-First Chronicles series, then you definitely recognize her. She was a student redraw for the S-First Chronicles storyline, and what I love about this piece is the fact that I attempted a background. It's not perfect, and you can look at it and you could say what you want about it. I know it's not perfect, but I thought proportionately, I think I did a really good job with the female anatomy, and that's why I'm putting this at number 23. For number 22, I've got a Merida and Moana fusion, and I am a huge fan of like Disney, and these are like some of my favorite princesses, and I had fun with the fusion episode. I don't think this is as close proportionately as my Lady Cardiac, but I did have fun with venturing out with the background and popping out more color with my character and playing around with the hair and those features. All right, now sitting at number 21 is Vulpix and Ninetales from my Pokemon or my Pokedex drawing challenge. And I put this one here because it's a fun, cute piece. I don't normally draw in like a chibi style, and so when I did this Pokedex drawing challenge, I got to play around with a few different styles. And so this one is one of those ones where I could turn either half into like a sticker, and I thought it was playful, and I really liked it. So I definitely wanted to put this one on my top 23. Sitting at number 20 is also another Pokedex Drawing Challenge one. This is Meowth in Persian. I had a lot of fun with this one because I got to play around with monster art and playing around with a little bit of a creep factor. And so trying to mess around here was really great because it actually led me closer to my new or my current rendering style. So if it wasn't for this piece and another piece on this list, I don't think I'd have the rendering style that I have today. Okay, at number 19, this was the biggest art challenge that I had of 2023. I finished this one back in March. And so this was my 50 blue character poster that I made, where I got suggestions from a whole bunch of people on what characters to add. I ended up with 54 on here. I think for another challenge, if I do another color, I think the layout has to be similar to the bottom row and not the top row. But I love this piece. All right, so this one, not on the channel, but it's definitely in my theme song or my current theme song as we speak. And this is a pop art piece of Hinata being Deku from My Hero Academia, and obviously Hinata's from Haikyuu. It's just an anime fusion type of piece with a pop art graphic. And so I did this on one of my out school classes. I was trying to draw Deku, it became Hinata, and I really loved it. Also, from one of my out school classes, I created this nature dragon. It was for one of my advanced digital art classes where we got to mess around with rendering. And so during the summer, I definitely figured out part of my rendering style. And you guys can kind of see it here. I definitely have fun with the rocks. The rock in the background, the rock on the tail, on the spikes, the hands, the trees, right? Or the tree trunks and the tree spikes. A lot of fun on the rendering here. All right, and speaking of rendering, this is kind of where a lot of my rendering style currently is. And it starts around here, give or take, an art piece or two. But Pirate Captain Olivia, also from the S-First Chronicles, also a student redraw from Delilah. This one's definitely on the list because it definitely shows how far I've come as an artist. And just kind of looking at the way that I did the jacket and the sleeves, I was really on my way art-wise. All right, this one came from a recent video. This is Buddy the Elf. As I guess not an Asgardian necessarily. If you listen to the story, he's part of the Dark Elves. And I'm hoping to do a part 2 someday, where I get to actually make Buddy the Elf as a Dark Elf, and actually show you what his final form is. But for right now, I think this is pretty great because you get to see the textures that pop out, the lighting, the bold lines. I love this piece. Speaking of my Christmas pieces, this is my Grinch and Swamp Thing fusion from my turning Christmas characters into DC and Marvel supervillains. Just like Buddy the Elf, this one's awesome. I did try to do a full piece here, so there was no border in this one. I could have done the tree a little bit better, but if I'm focusing on just the Grinch Swamp Thing, I think I definitely nailed the Grinch part. Maybe not the Swamp Thing, but I do love the textures that pop out on this art piece. Here's your spoiler, guys. This is Magmar from Pokemon, and I'm turning Pokemon into kaijus. There's 2 more of these that show up in this episode that'll eventually show up in a Pokemon as kaijus episode. So you have been warned about this. I do love the textures. And I love the flames on the bottom, and I like a lot about this. I'm not necessarily keen on the windows or that building, but you know what? Hey, we're still growing. Number 12 is going to be Brainiac and Dr. Cord for my S-Verse Chronicle series. Again, this is kind of like my bread and butter is redrawing student art, turning their superheroes and supervillains and putting them in the story and just kind of redesigning them, but keeping a lot of their features that they had on paper. And I had a lot of fun with this. There's some issues with like proportions on here, but overall, I think the textures, the lighting, the shading, the rendering overall is just great. This one, and as you guys know, if you guys listened to that episode where I turned FNAF characters into dragons, this one was obviously like my favorite one. I actually thought this was going to be in the top 10. It was definitely in conversation of my top 10. However, I do realize I've got some other pieces that I think that can actually knock this down into its spot at number 11. So I'll let you guys kind of determine that one out later. All right, number 10. This is my Spectator, right? It's my cat Spectator. We did a little fusion thing on one of my outschool classes. And this one was where my rendering style began to grow. You can see the saliva. You can see the blood dripping out of its mouth. You can see the textures, the shininess, the dark sunken eyes. This is where my rendering style began and evolved to what it is now. So without this piece, I wouldn't be where I am. Number 9, I've got my turning One Piece characters into dragons, and this one was Roronoa Zoro as a dragon. I really like this piece. You can argue that this one belongs in the number 10 slot, and that Spectator belongs a little bit higher above it. But I do like the framing. I like the little cloud in the background that kind of removes part of the frames and covers it up. I love the texture inside of its belly and the way that his face is lit. Here's another spoiler. Here's Mr. Mime. And Mr. Mime's also a kaiju. I put the buildings in the background. I'll eventually get better at drawing buildings, but for someone that doesn't like to do backgrounds, this is not too bad. I really like how creepy he looks. He's definitely someone that I would fear for my life if I saw him just running around New York City or Tokyo or wherever. Really creepy dude. And at number 7, I've got Buggy the Clown as a dragon, where I turn One Piece characters into dragons. I think proportionately, he looks great. I think he's one of my better designed dragons. When I made the episode, I was like, man, maybe this one should have been the last one. This one should have been the premiere one. I am happy that I made him the thumbnail for that episode. But overall, really happy with the design and happy with the rendering on Buggy the Clown as a dragon. All right, here's the last spoiler. This one's Scyther, and Scyther looks really cool as a little kaiju monster, right? A little bit bigger. I do have an issue with how he's standing. He's kind of like leaning forward. I should have either leaned him back or bent his legs. That's going to be my only complaint on this, but I do love the rendering on his skin, and his face just like freaks me out, and the way that I did his size looked great. At number 5, I had to put Arlong as a dragon in this one. If you just look at his left arm, right, it's on our right side, it's with the tattoo. That's all you need to know. Just rendering that skin, making it shiny, doing the water. Rendering that water was killer. It was hard. And then putting some rocks underneath that and some little light glows here and there. This one had to be in my top 5, without a doubt. All right, number 4 is my Puppet Master. This is where my rendering style really has come full circle, has kind of evolved. I really love the way that I did her hair and the way that I rendered her hair. I've got a character that I think I rendered their hair a little bit better coming up. But just kind of looking at her lips, looking at her eyes, just how sunken it all is, I really love it. The blood splatter on her dress, everything about this piece is just amazing. Top 3 territory. Couldn't do this without my Metal Samurai, guys. I did this in a live stream, and I kept building on it to the point that I just didn't have time to do another live stream with it, and I just had to mess with it on my own. I loved that armor. That armor just takes it away. And then when I look at the Oni mask, that takes it away. And then when I zoom in onto his face, it's just more detailed than anything I've made up to now. And I think this deserves this top 3 spot. Number 2, Musculo. I love this character a lot. There's something about his build that I really love. I love drawing like chunky, muscular dudes. I don't know why. The boots, best boots I've ever drawn and rendered. That cosmic hammer he's got, amazing. It's lighting up. It's cracked all over the place. The hair on this one, I think I did better than Puppet Master. You can argue it. We can move around the top 3 all over the place. But this was a great piece. And of course, Thor. Thor was my absolute favorite art piece of 2023. The way that I did his chainmail, the way that I rendered in all those shadows. The lightning could have been better, but overall, I loved every aspect of this Thor drawing. It took me maybe 5 to 6 hours, but it was well worth it, especially since I placed it as my number 1 of my top 23. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave it a like and leave some suggestions in the comments down below for what you want to see me draw in 2024. I'm going to take all of your suggestions and I'm going to put them out there and try to use them as best as I can. And if you guys have any character work that you would love me to redraw, please send it to the email in the description down below. I would love to redraw my subscriber artwork and not just my students. I think that'll be a lot of fun to have on this channel, okay? Guys, thank you for supporting this channel. Much love to you all. You all have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.